Okay, y'all. Oh my goodness. It looks like Diddy got indicted. Diddy did it. Diddy done it. Puff Daddy, P Diddy, Diddy, PD Love. So this is a 14-page indictment, and I will say what I'm allowed to say here. So this is was filed recently, a sealed indictment in the District Court of Southern District of New York. Count one, racketeering conspiracy, the grand jury charges. Overview: for decades, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on the employees' resources and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Sean Combs, aka Puff Diddy, Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, operated his business headquarters at various times in Manhattan and Los Angeles under a variety of United States based corporate entities, including Bad Boys Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, the Combs Global, collectively the Combs Business. Corporate entities in the Combs business included, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. At all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals. This abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women and commercial workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence. 4. Physical abuse by Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, was recurrent and widely known on numerous occasions from at least in or about 2009 and continuing for years. Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. These assaults were at times witnessed by others and included one instance at a Los Angeles hotel in or about March 2016, which was captured on video and later publicly reported, where Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman as she was attempting to leave. When a member of the hotel security staff intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff members to ensure silence. Combs' violence was not limited to these women, it extended to his employees, witnesses to his abuse, and others. Sean Combs, 5. Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love. The defendant used the Combs business, including certain employees, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse and commercial acts. I'm not going to say, I'm going to try to say the words. You can see it on the screen though. Those employees, including security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high ranking supervisors and other close associates, acted as Combs' intermediaries, and their conduct was facilitated and assisted by Combs' control of the Combs business. The Combs Enterprise, number 6. From at least in or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant and others known and unknown, were members and associates of a criminal organization, the Combs Enterprise or the Enterprise. Members and associates of the Combs Enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of the oldest profession in the book, coercion and enticement to engage in the oldest profession, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The Combs enterprise, including its leadership, its members, and its associates, constituted an enterprise as defined by Title 18, the United States Code, Section 1961, parenthesis 4. That is a group of individuals associated in fact, although not a legal entity. The Combs enterprises consisted of I, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, double I's in parentheses, entities within the Combs business, including but not limited to Bad Boys Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global. Parentheses, three I's, individuals, or three, individuals employed by and associated with the Combs business, and IV for others known and unknown. So they're not quite stating who it is. I think we're gonna see some other indictments come down on this though. We'll see. I mean, we'll see if Combs has, if he decides to try to get some less time by turning some of those people in. The Combs enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members functioned as a continuing unit for a common purpose of achieving the objectives of the Combs enterprise. The Combs enterprise was engaged in and its activities affected interstate and foreign commerce. The Combs enterprise operated in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere. Number 9, at all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, was the leader of the Combs enterprise. 10, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, and others known and unknown participated in unlawful and other activities related to the conduct of the Combs enterprises affairs. These individuals included certain Combs business employees, such as members of Combs security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors, as well as other close associates of Combs. Purposes of Combs enterprises. The purpose of the Combs enterprise included the following: A, operating a global business in the media, entertainment, and lifestyle industries, including, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, a television network, and a media company. B, preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power, reputation, and brand of Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, as a musician, entrepreneur, and figure in the entertainment industry. C, enriching members and associates of the enterprise, including its leaders, Combs, and in particular those who demonstrated loyalty to Combs and willingness to conceal his crimes. D, preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power of the Combs enterprise, including the power of its leader, Combs, through violence, use of firearms, threats of violence, coercion, and verbal, emotional, physical, and abuse. Essay. Fulfilling the personal desires of Combs, particularly those related to Combs' gratification, including through the exploitation of women and the use of commercial workers. Enabling Combs and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise to engage in unlawful acts of violence, including violence, trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of the oldest profession, coercion, and enticement to engage in the oldest profession, distribution, and other crimes, and concealing the commission of such acts. G, securing absolute loyalty from members of the Combs enterprise, including through acts of violence and threats. And H, protecting the Combs enterprises and its members and associates, including Combs, from detection and prosecution by law enforcement authorities through acts of intimidation, manipulation, bribery, and threats of retaliation against individuals who witnessed the crimes committed by members and associates of the enterprise. Means and methods of the enterprise. 12. Among the means and methods by which Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, and other members and associates of the Combs enterprises conducted and participated in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise, including the following: A, Combs and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended acts with male commercial workers that Combs referred to as, among other things, Freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate and produced S performances that Combs arranged, directed, um, pleasured himself during, and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial S workers across state lines and internationally. Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, and often involved multiple commercial S workers. During freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant, sometimes unbeknownst to the victims. Combs kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in S acts with commercial S workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including high-ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and other Combs business employees, facilitated the freak-offs by, among other things, booking hotel rooms for the freak-offs, stocking the hotel rooms in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including the controlled substances, baby oil, apparently over 1,000 bottles were confiscated, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting. Cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-offs to try to mitigate room damage, arranging for travel for victims, commercial S workers, and Combs to and from freak-offs, resupplying Combs with requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay the commercial S workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. In or about March 2024, during searches of Combs' residence in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California, law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Combs subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse to cause the victims to engage in the freak-offs. Combs maintained control over his victims through, among other things, physical violence, promise of career opportunities, granting and threatening to withhold financial support, and by other coercive means, including tracking their whereabouts, dictating the victim's appearance, monitoring their medical records, controlling their housing, and supplying them with controlled substances. During and separate from freak-offs, Combs, among other things, hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. These assaults often resulted in injuries that took days or even weeks to heal. Combs also threatened victims' careers and livelihoods, including if they resisted participating in freak-offs. Victims believed they could not refuse Combs' demands without risking their financial or job security, or without repercussions in the form of physical or emotional abuse. Combs also used the sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating records that he made during freak-offs as collateral to ensure the continued obedience and silence of the victims. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including Combs' personal security personnel, at times carried firearms. On more than one occasion, Combs himself carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten others, including victims of and witnesses to his abuse. In or about March 2024, during searches of Combs' residence in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California, law enforcement seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, as well as drum magazine. Members and associates of Combs Enterprises enabled Combs' control over victims by following his directions regarding financial payments to victims, advancing or suppressing the victim's career opportunities, and acquiring the controlled substances Combs used to keep the victims compliant. Members and associates of the Combs Enterprises at times witnessed Combs' violence through the victims or the victims' injuries caused by Combs without intervening. Instead, members and associates of the Combs enterprise helped conceal the violence and abuse by, among other things, assisting Combs in monitoring and preventing victims from leaving locations such as hotels or Combs residence. These occasions included instances in which a victim was required to remain in hiding, sometimes for several days at a time, to recover from injuries Combs inflicted without being publicly observed. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise also assisted Combs in locating and contacting victims who attempted to flee his abuse. When employees witnessed to his abuse or others threatened Combs' authority or reputation, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise engaged in acts of violence, threats of financial and reputational harm, and verbal abuse. These acts of violence included kidnapping and arson. In addition, on multiple occasions, Combs threw both objects and people, as well as hit, dragged, choked, and shoved others. When Combs' authority or reputation was threatened by the possibility of negative publicity or legal or law enforcement's actions against him, including in or about late 2023, following public allegations of Combs' crimes, Combs and members of the and associates of the enterprise pressured witnesses and victims, including through attempted bribery, to stay silent and not report what they experienced or knew to law enforcement. On phone calls, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise, among other things, provided these victims and witnesses with a false narrative of events in effort to conceal Combs' crimes. Combs caused these calls to be recorded on at least 2 occasions. The racketeering conspiracy. 13. From at least in or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, and others known and unknown, being persons employed by and associated with the Combs enterprise, described in paragraphs 6 through 12 of this indictment, an enterprise engaged in and the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly combined, conspired, confederated, and agreed together and with each other to violate the racketeering laws of the United States, to wit, Title 18, United States Code, Section 1962, parentheses C, that is, to conduct and participate directly and indirectly in the conduct of affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity, as that term is defined in Title 18, United States Code, Section 1961, parentheses 1, and 1961, parentheses 5, consisting of A, multiple acts involving kidnapping, chargeable under the following provisions of state law: California Penal Code 2007, Penal Code 21A, attempt, Penal Code 31, aiding and abetting, Penal Code 182, conspiracy. B, multiple acts involving arson, chargeable under the following provisions: state law: California Penal Code 451, Penal Code 21, 664, Penal Code 31, aiding and abetting, and Penal Code 182, conspiracy. Multiple acts involving bribery, chargeable under the following provisions of state law: California Penal Code 137, bribery of a witness, California Penal Code 21, 664, Penal Code 331, aiding and abetting, and Penal Code 182, conspiracy. D, multiple acts indictable under Title 18, United States Code, Section 1512, relating to tampering with a witness, victim, or an informant. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18, United States Code, Sections 1589 and 2, relating to forced labor. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18, United States Code, Section 1591 and 2, relating to trafficking. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18, United States Code, Sections 2421, 2422, and 2, relating to transportation and inducement to travel for purposes of oldest profession in the book and other illegal activities. And H, multiple offenses involving the possession with intent to distribute or distribution of narcotics and controlled substances, including, and I'm not going to state these here, you can read them, but they are all pretty serious ones. And this is in violation of Title 22, so you can see them all right here. With intent to distribute and conspiracy to do the same, and Title 18, United States Code, Section 2, aiding, abetting, and willfully causing. 14, it was part of the conspiracy that Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, agreed that a conspirator would commit at least 2 acts of racketeering activity in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprises. Notice of special sentencing factor. Number 15, from at least in or about 2009 up and including in about 2018 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere as part of his agreement to conduct and participate in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity, Sean Combs, aka Puff Diddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, agreed to in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, advertise, maintain, patronize, and solicit by any means a person knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion, as described in Title 18, United States Code, Section 1591, and any combination of such means would be used to cause the person to engage in a commercial sex act in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Section 1591, A1 and B1. Title 18, United States Code, Section 1962D. Count 2, S. Trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Victim 1. The grand jury further charges 16 from at least in or about 2009 up to and including in or about 2018 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, aka Puff Diddy, Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, provided, obtained, advertised, maintained, patronized, and solicited by any means a person knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion as described in Title 18 United States Code, Section 1591, and any combination of such means would be used to cause the person to engage in a commercial S act and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, and maintained a person, victim 1, and attempted, aided, and abetted the willfully caused victim 1 to engage in commercial S acts, knowing and in reckless disregard to the fact that victim 1 was engaging in commercial S acts as a result of force, fraud, and coercion. The grand jury further charges count 3, transportation to engage in the oldest profession. The grand jury further charges 17 from at least in or about 2009 up to including in and about 2024 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, knowingly transported an individual, an interstate and foreign commerce with intent that the individual engaged in the oldest profession and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs transported, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the transportation of female victims and commercial S workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions with the intent that they engage in the oldest profession. Forfeiture allegations. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count 1 of this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, shall forfeit to the United States pursuant to Title 18 United States Code, Section 1963, any and all interests the defendant acquired or maintained in violation of Title 18 United States Code, Section 1962, any and all interests in securities of, claims against, and property or contractual rights of any kind affording a source of influence over the enterprise named and described herein, with the defendant established, operated, controlled, conducted, and participated in the conduct of, in violation of Title 18, the United States Code, Section 1962, and any and all property constituting and derived from proceeds obtained directly and indirectly said offense, including but not limited to a sum of money in United States currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. 19. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count 2 of this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, shall forfeit to the United States pursuant to Title 18 United States Code, Section 1594, any and all property, real and personal, involved in, used, or intended to be used to commit or to facilitate the commission of said offense, and any and all property traceable to such property, any and all property, real and personal, constituting or derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of said offense, including but not limited to a sum of money in the United States currency representing the amount of property involved in said offense and proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count 3 of this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Diddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant shall forfeit to the United States pursuant to Title 18, the United States Code, Section 2428, any and all property, real and personal, constituting or derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of said offense, and any and all property, real or personal, that was used or intended to be used to commit or facilitate the commission of said offense, and Title 18, United States Code, Section 98A1C, and Title 28, United States Code, Section 2461, any and all property, real and personal, that constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense, including but not limited to a sum of money in United States currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. Substitute assets provision 21. If any of the above described forfeitable property as a result of any act or omission of the defendant, A, cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, B, has been transferred or sold to or deposited with a third person, C, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, D, has been substantially diminished in value, or E, has been commingled with other property which cannot be subdivided without difficulty. It is the intent of the United States pursuant to Title 18, United States Code, Section 1963M, Title 21, United States Code, Section 853P, and Title 28, United States Code, Section 2461C, to seek forfeiture of any other property of the defendant up to the value of the above forfeitable property. Damian Williams, United States Attorney. And the foreperson is blocked out. So, this is, I just read you the full indictment. This is the full one. Now, it's been a few days since this indictment came out. Of course, people are always innocent until proven guilty in the United States. But this indictment is pretty dang, I mean, they don't file this unless they have some evidence, you know. So since this has happened, he's gone to jail. He tried to get bail. He got denied bail. He did another hearing and asked to be let go to bail. He gave a bail proposal where he would be, give a bunch of money, give a very large payment, be on house arrest, and promised not to have anybody over. However, the courts basically said they were concerned about witness tampering, which is in the indictment already. That's part of the charge, is already witnessing tampering with witnesses. So they denied it again. So he is now in jail, and my guess is he's probably going to go the way of R. Kelly. I mean, we forgot about him. He's just in jail now. So yeah, not much to talk about him. So we will keep going. We'll see what happens.